In the immortal words of Danny Tanner, when life gives you dilemmas, you make dilemonade. And that's exactly what the Bruins are faced with here with a Game 7 set for Sunday evening. Not ideal circumstances, but they still have a chance to win, to move on, and compete for the Stanley Cup. We're going to talk about Game 6 and what they can do for Game 7 here on an emergency episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Saturday, April 29th. I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your day every day. The podcast is free and available on your favorite podcast app as well as on YouTube. So please do smash that subscribe button so that you never miss a thing. It's an emergency episode of Locked On Boston Bruins today as we discuss a very disappointing back and forth loss to the Florida Panthers Friday night in Game 6 and look ahead to Sunday's Game 7. Quick reminder that you can find the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Locked NHL Bruins, and you can find me, my dad jokes, and hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. Let me break down how my Friday night went. My wife Lauren and I went out for a nice dinner at Beer Town. I had a couple adult beverages, watched the first period, feeling pretty good about the Boston Bruins' chances. Came home, things just went haywire in this game. I don't even know what we just watched. Back and forth, up and down, roller coaster of a game that the Bruins should have won. They went ahead in the third period. Jake DeBrusk scores a shorthanded goal. Matthew Tkachuk responds to tie the game 27 seconds later. And then A2 Luster-Ryding gave Florida the 6-5 lead with 5:38 to go in the game. I don't even know where to begin with this one. Jake DeBrusk called for a hand pass that barely touched his glove as he was trying to pick up his stick after being shellacked behind the net. Do we start with Linus Ullmark clearly not looking at the top of his game? Is he hurt? Is he struggling physically? Is he lacking confidence? I have no idea what's going on with him right now, but there's very much reason to, yes, hindsight's 2020, but to wonder whether or not Jeremy Swayman should have come in at some point in this series for Game 5, in Game 6. Jim Montgomery said it's the kind of game where teams are making great plays offensively. We do have to clean up a couple of things. You think? We didn't protect the slot like we usually do, he said, and they got 3 goals minimum from there that I can think of. And 5-on-5, not the power play goals they scored. He lamented the Bruins' inability to lock things down in the third period after twice regaining the lead. So frustrating. They were behind. They found a way to get the lead twice. And just a complete inability to close out the game. Again, for me, Linus Ullmark does not look right. It seems as though they're committed to going back to him for Game 7. Maybe it's too late to go to Jeremy Swayman. Montgomery said he thinks Linus is fine, looked at him in the eyes a couple times when he came back to the bench, and he liked the way his eyes were looking. He looked intense, and he looked keen, end quote. Like, come on. That's not how you should gauge whether or not Ullmark should be still in the net. You have to look at the goals allowed, the opportunities, his lack of rebound control, the second chance opportunities the Panthers are getting. And for me, it's almost to the point where you can very much question whether or not the Bruins are getting outcoached in this series. You had Paul Maurice going with Sergei Bobrovsky over Alex Lyon after he helped the Panthers clinch that playoff spot. You have the challenge last night that wiped away that goal that would have put the Bruins up 3-2. Jim Montgomery certainly causing some problems for the Bruins in that he overjuggled the lines, inexplicably decided to keep Derek Forbort in the lineup, rolling with that Forbort Connor Clifton defensive pairing that is not working, keeping Matt Grzelcyk out of the lineup when you could certainly use his puck moving ability, keeping Trent Frederic out for 2 games instead of scratching him for 1 to send a message. Probably could have used him on the 4th line last night over Nick Foligno. All due respect to Uncle Nick. We love you. We need you for your leadership, your speeches. But you probably want Trent Frederic in there last night instead. And again, hindsight is 20/20, but there's very good reasons to question some of the decisions that Jim Montgomery has made in this series. And they very much should have won this game. Derek Forbort, Connor Clifton just absolutely caved. And you just had Linus Ullmark flailing about, not able to control his rebounds. The Bruins scored 3 goals on the power play in this one. They allowed 2. They outshot the Panthers. Just a complete inability to lock things down in the third period after going up. Tyler Bertuzzi scores early on in the third. David Pastrnak with that unbelievable between the legs goal to put the team up. And then you allow Zach Dalpe to score, 4th liner. And then DeBrusk scores to put the team up again, shorthanded goal. And then 27 seconds later, Matthew Tkachuk ties things up. Luster Reinhart scores, and that is all she wrote. Now, I'm trying to remain glass half full here. It is not over. We're going to talk about what the Boston Bruins need to do in order to win Game 7 here in a moment. But first, a quick word about today's sponsor, which is Game Time. Now, Game Time is the best place to go for all last-minute tickets for your favorite sports events. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day. For football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, hockey, of course, as well. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. You can get images of your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're all set. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but go create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Game Time, last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Thank you once again for making Locked On Bruins part of your day every single day, free and available on your favorite podcast app, as well as on YouTube. Please do smash that subscribe button so that you do not miss a thing. Now, the Bruins were the best regular season team ever in 2022-2023. That gives them home ice advantage through the playoffs, including all potential Game 7s, beginning tomorrow night against the Florida Panthers. Yes, it's disappointing. Nobody wanted this to happen. We should have closed this out in 5 games last night, but here we are, and the Bruins with another opportunity to beat the Florida Panthers on home ice. I said on Twitter this morning, I'm saving all my hockey angst for whenever, if ever, this run comes to an end before we hope it will. So trying to stay glass half full here for the Bruins this morning. Friend of the pod, Tanya, saying the Bruins are hardest on themselves. They don't need us to add to it. They don't want to lose, of course. Tanya, our favorite green-haired Boston Bruins fan. But man, this is really disappointing that they're in this position. Pete Blackburn had that tweet before the third period last night. How we're doing heading into it. I was lying on the floor, curled up in a ball, just hoping that they could end it. And what gets me is that Jim Montgomery said after the game, yeah, they're going to go back with Linus, most likely. We're going to be consistent. Well, you haven't been consistent throughout the series. Excessive line juggling, playing the wrong defenseman. If they go back to this exact same lineup, I'll be disappointed. You need to make a couple changes. Fine, you can have utmost confidence in Ullmark. Go back to him. He's earned the right. Maybe next series you can do a bit of a rotation. Get Swayman in there. DeBrusk said Ullmark is the reason they've had so much success this year. Not even a question whether to put him back in the net for Game 7. Sure. But please play your best possible defenseman in front of him, and that means taking Derek Forbort out and putting Matt Grzelcyk back in the lineup. Connor Clifton, he had a couple turnovers as well. You're not going to take him out and put Zboril in, I'm sure, but you need to at least put Grzelcyk back in the lineup. On the positive, Tyler Bertuzzi scored 2 goals, added an assist. He now has 9 points in 6 games, 2 shy of Mark Recchi's record of 11 for most by a player in his first career playoff series. He's been unbelievable. Hell of a player, David Pastrnak said. Excited to see what he can bring in Game 7. David Pastrnak, much better, more aggressive, more assertive. He scored a couple goals, including that beauty between the legs. Brad Marchand, 4 assists in this game. There were some positives here. They just had to lock things down. They did it. And now you have the Florida Panthers with all the confidence in the world, nothing to lose, heading into Game 7, where they've already won 2 games at TD Garden. This is where the Bruins need their leadership group to step up. This is where you need Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci. These guys came back for this very reason, to get the Bruins to the pinnacle once again. Marchand's been doing everything he can. Charlie McAvoy, yeah, he's been pretty solid on the back end. Could use more from Hampus Lindholm, who inexplicably chucked the puck over the glass last night to set up that eventual Matthew Tkachuk power play goal. We need more from Charlie Coyle, perhaps offensively. You need playoff Krejci to show up. What else? Frederic hopefully will be back in the lineup to give a boost, as will Matt Grzelcyk. Clifton and Forbort could both come out, in my mind. I don't know who they're going to take out, but you can't go back to that pairing, especially if you're committed to going back to Linus Ullmark. Full credit to Marchand. He showed up, 10 points, 6 assists, 10 points in 6 games, I should say. 9 points in 6 games for Bertuzzi. Hall, 8 points in 6 games. DeBrusk, Orlov, each averaging a point per game. You need more from... This is just where Bergeron and Krejci need to step up and lead this team. This is why they came back. This is why the Bruins are going to have that salary cap overage next year. And I've been saying it for weeks. To doubt the Bruins is to doubt Bergeron, to doubt Krejci. Taking a deep breath, going into game 7, believing that the Boston Bruins can get this done. We can save any lamenting or angst for whenever, if ever, this run comes to an early end. But that's not yet. The Bruins still have a chance to advance. Game 7s happen. The Bruins had to win 3 of them back in 2011. You could argue this team is better, deeper than that team. Who knows? But it's not over. The Bruins still have a chance to get it done, and they can do this. I believe they can do this. Say it with me. They can do this. Whew. I just still can't believe that happened last night. Wish things were different. You can play Saturday morning quarterback, look back in hindsight, say Swayman should have started, say Grzelcyk shouldn't have been taken out, Frederic should have been playing. It is what it is at this point. We're here. It's a game 7, 6:30 p.m. Sunday night. I'll jump on YouTube for immediate reaction following the game. Be back on Monday with a full recap. Either way, and believe in the boys. They can do this. And yeah, let's go. Thank you so much for joining me on this emergency episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, your favorite team every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And we will talk to you post Game 7, hopefully celebrating a Boston Bruins first round series win.